Welcome back to my channel. This is the third in a series of videos about life purpose based in human design. I thought I would start with a few markers of when you're not on purpose so that you can kind of tune into yourself and see if any of these are true for you. Okay, so signs that you're not on purpose. Number one, you're dragging. Okay, you're dragging around. You just don't have energy for the things that you need to do in your life. Number two, you're anxious or depressed. Number three, you have to make yourself go to work or do whatever it is that you need to do, especially if this is habitually true. Everybody has an off day when they might kind of feel like they have to push a little bit. But if this is habitually the way that you're living, then you're definitely not living your purpose. If you'd rather be somewhere else or doing something else, I think of those bumper stickers that say, I'd rather be sailing, I'd rather be at the beach, I'd rather be whatever. That is a statement of not being on purpose. Let's say if you have to drink coffee or alcohol or something else to keep you going, or if you have no energy at the end of the day, you feel like you've given everything you had, and then by the time you get to the end of the day, you're just frigging exhausted. Or if you crave going on vacation, or you have that feeling that I just need to get away, my question is always, get away from what, right? Get away from your life? Okay. Or if you space out, daydream, or find yourself scrolling on social media, or even watching too many YouTube videos, right? These are all signs that you're not really on purpose. Signs that you are on purpose. You have plenty of energy, plentiful energy. You can't wait to get back to whatever it is that you're doing, whatever it is that you're working on. You have a sense of positive anticipation. And when you get to the end of the day, yeah, you may be tired, but you're not exhausted. You're tired, but happy at the end of the day. You felt well used, right? Or you used your energy well that day. And yeah, you may feel like, oh, I'm tuckered out, but you're happy. You feel creative. You're in your zone of genius. You feel guided from within, and you're comfortable with a certain amount of risk taking. You feel supported by the flow of life, and you have faith that the creative intelligence of the universe is strong and that it has your back and that it's here with you. Well, these are all signs of pretty much anybody, whether they're on purpose or not so on purpose. Today, we're going to dive into life purpose for generators, the biggest of all of the types in human design. Okay, let's get into it. According to the story of human design, there are a number of things that are true for all generators, whether you're a pure generator or manifesting generator. Today, I'm going to focus on pure generators, and I'll do another video that builds on this one that talks about some extra pieces that have to do with manifesting generators. So all generators are designed to develop self-knowledge. We're all interested in ourselves. Ra, who was the founder and then the developer of human design, used to say that the sign above the temple at Delphi that reads, "Know thyself," is for generators. Projectors and orchestrators are more focused on other people, on managing, directing, orchestrating, getting to know and organizing other people, teams, organizations, and things like that. Manifestors or initiators in quantum human design are more interested in their impact in the world. And so they're not as introspective. They tend to be more outer focused. Whereas reflectors or calibrators in quantum human design are deeply engaged with their communities, and they reflect their communities. And so there is a certain amount of self-knowledge that they can develop, but it's always in a very, very dynamic relationship with the communities that they're around. Whereas for generators and manifesting generators, who are alchemists and time benders in quantum human design, we have a specific desire to get to know ourselves. And so this is really great for human design in general, because human design helps us to understand ourselves. And I would say a majority of people who come to me for readings and who enroll with me as private clients and in my group coaching programs are generators and manifesting generators because they want to be using human design as a tool to get to know themselves. So part of our type as generators and manifesting generators is to develop our self-knowledge. But I would also add, and this is not so much a traditional human design thing, but it's not just about knowing ourselves, it's also about growing ourselves. And a little sidebar here, which is actually really important for you to get to know about me, and this is one of the things that makes me different than a lot of other human design specialists, is that I am really focused on helping you to grow into your full potential. And that potential is, we get some clues about it in our human design, but it doesn't actually tell us all of the things that are true for us, and that nothing is determined for us, that we can always grow ourselves, that we are actually evolutionary beings in an evolutionary universe. Now, this is in direct contrast to what Ra used to say, because he was really very deterministic. He would say, if you've got this, then you're like this, right? And if you don't have this, then you're not like that. And he also apparently used to wear a hat that said no choice. So he really thought that we were very determined by our human design and by our conditioning, or what he used to call the program. And that's just not my perspective at all. My perspective is that everything is changeable. And what human design does is it gives us some clues and some direction and some possibilities, our soul curriculum, if you will, that helps us to be able to identify when we are more associating ourselves with the disempowered aspects of a particular energy, or the more shadow aspects, or the more empowered or more awakened aspects. And this is true for every piece of human design. And for me, I believe that we can always change from one to another one of those ways of expressing any one of those energies. Okay, sidebar over. What makes a generator or a manifesting generator is that we have the sacral center defined. It's the red square down towards the bottom of the chart. This is the center for life force energy, and we have consistent and reliable access to this incredibly powerful life force energy. We say that the sacral is the most powerful motor or engine in the human design chart. And if you just think about life force energy in, Chinese medicine, this is qi. In the Ayurvedic and yogic traditions, this is prana. So this is really powerful Shakti energy or Kundalini energy, right? And it's located in this, what we call the hara in martial arts. It's the center for our magnetic energy along with the heart center. And so this is very, very powerful energy. And we can overdo it, even as generators and manifesting generators, if we're pushing ourselves to do things that we don't have energy for. This can definitely lead to burnout, and it led me to cycles of burnout. I do have a video here about cycles of burnout and for generators and manifesting generators that you can go check out if you have had this happen for yourself, and it can help you to understand that a little bit better. And tying back to what I said earlier, if you have to push yourself to do what is on your plate during any particular day, if you feel like you're really dragging, then you're not on purpose in your life, because being on purpose in your life will give you energy. It'll enable you to tap into that propulsive system of your sacral, and it'll give you this kind of infinite energy that the sacral will have, and it'll also help you to tap into the truly infinite amount of energy that is available in the flow of life. And this is what the sacral will help you to get in touch with, is that flow of life. It gives us this drive to engage with life. It gives us motivation. And we can develop a felt sense of being on purpose. And this is something that I think in some ways might be easier for generators, because we do have this sacral going, and the sacral can transmit to us this sense of being on purpose. So for example, if a generator is on purpose, you're going to have an infinite amount of energy. You're going to feel a lot of vitality and aliveness. You're going to feel like you've got wind under your wings, or like a kind of constant fire that's burning burning inside of you. You're going to have a sense of desire and anticipation, and you cannot get to whatever it is that you want to be doing. So I want you just to stop for a moment, and you can pause the video if you want and just write for a few minutes and ask yourself, what makes you feel this way? What is it that makes you feel like you've got that wind under your wings, or your inner fire is just burning and you could just keep going? What is it that you do in your life, or you have done at some point in your life, that made you feel that way? I remember really distinctly when I was in college in my early 20s, and I was pursuing a dance major, and I came to the end of a day where I had been dancing for 6 hours, and I thought, I could do this all day. I could do this day after day after day. And I had as much energy at the end of the day as I did at the beginning of the day. That was really the first thing that ever struck me that way. So for you, what might that be? It might have been something from when you were really young. Like I said, this was for me when I was in my 20s, but it could be something that is more common now, or that you felt more recently. And then once you've written a little bit about that, is ask yourself, what story or perception do you have about that activity, that thing? Because if it's not something that you've built your life around, have you had thoughts like, well, that's great, but I can't make money at it, or no one else cares about this. Why should I be spending all this time on it? Does it even have any value? Am I only the person who cares about this? Whatever it is, right? Just write down if you have negative self-talk about it, and you might, to just really be kind of recording it for yourself so you can go back and take another look at it. So if you want to, go ahead and pause the video, set your timer for 3 minutes, and then just write about that for a little bit. Great. I hope that you got in touch with something that just really fires you up, that you kind of cannot not do. I hope that you're allowing some space for that in your life today. Now, if you're questing for your life purpose, if you feel like this is something that you're seeking and you're not so sure about, then befriending your sacral is one of the best things you can do. Now, I have developed several different videos about sacral authority, and I will list those videos in the description. And here is a link to a playlist that has those videos if you want to go and check them out. Now, your sacral is your authority. If you are a generator, it is your authority. Even if you're emotionally defined, it's still an ally for you. It will give you a felt sense of a yes or a no. And in doing that, it'll give you a sense of what's right for you and what's not right for you. And it can really help you steer in the direction that is going to be more beneficial for you, more exciting for you, more heart-opening for you, helping you to feel like your life has meaning and purpose and so on. And when you learn to pay attention to its signals and its guidance, it can really, really help you with your life. And I'll just say, even if you're emotionally defined, even if you have splenic authority, I know the printout on my chart says I have splenic authority because I do have a defined spleen, and I do have the 57 defined, and I do have a lot of intuition in my chart. But still, I use my sacral as my authority. It's my guidance system that helps me know, am I going in the right direction or not? To develop that felt sense, you have to be able to step outside of your strategic mind, your analytical mind. And that's something that we've all been conditioned into making our primary way of knowing, our primary way of making decisions, our primary way of just even analyzing what's happening in the world around us, right? And that leads us away from our body wisdom. It leads us away from our sacral authority. It leads us away from our kind of energetic being, and it even leads us away from our physical being into this kind of rarefied cognitive space. The thing I want to emphasize here is that as brilliant as our cognitive mind is, it is only a small part of who we really are, because we are many layers of energy as well. We are tapped into the creative intelligence of the universe. We are a soul on a journey having a human experience. There's so much more to us than what our cognitive mind tells us. And so we want to be able to use that cognitive ability because it is a huge asset, just like having our computers is a huge asset. But comparatively speaking, it's really pretty small compared to all of that we are and what we have access to. So when you can get out of the cognitive mind and get down more into the body, now you may or may not actually feel your sacral go or Like for me, I actually just get my head going, and sometimes I get a full body experience, like, or like moving towards something, leaning in or leaning out, moving towards, moving away from. Okay. So there's a lot of different ways that it can transmit that to you. But the sacral is just this huge ally that can be guiding you when you're kind of going, okay, I want to feel more on purpose. This isn't feeling so good to me. And you're spending all this time kind of managing it, right? Going, well, I got to go to work. So even though my body's kind of going, I don't want to, you have another cup of coffee and you send you on your way. And you may need to do that for a while, right? But you can still be tapping in and going, okay, what is it that my body is wanting to go towards? What do I have more energy for when I do that rather than less energy? What is it that I think about, and that I start to explore, on my off time, right? When I have time to myself, what is it that I feel drawn to? These are the things that you want to explore when you're wanting to get towards your life purpose. It'll help you to be able to get in touch with this kind of inner sense of direction. Now, let me just say, do not expect to arrive somewhere you're going to stay forever, okay? Expect to keep growing and changing. And the themes or the topics of what your purpose is may change over time. It's not unusual. Just give you an example. Like for me, I now, looking back over the course of my life, have a sense of the through line of my purpose. I have always been here to be a teacher. I have been teaching ever since I was a little kid, right? I've always been a person to speak up about powerful things and to be provocative. That's in my human design. I've always been somebody who is able to take really disparate kinds of information and analyze them and put them together and see the patterns and then interpret them for other people. That's also in my design. I've always been able to do a variety of those things. But what I did them with, like the topics or the themes, have changed a lot over the course of my life. And so if I were always to say, well, I need to stick with this one thing, like when I was a professor at Columbia, if I was like, well, I have to stick with those themes, then I would have been putting myself in a straitjacket, basically. Even though there is a through line of my interest in consciousness, really the ways I've gone about that have changed dramatically over the last 25 years. And I even think about like my dad, who was somebody also born to be a teacher. He and I had that in common. And he was a literature professor, an English professor in an English department for 50 years, literally. But what he was able to do was to explore lots and lots of different kinds of literature. And he taught anything from the Bible as literature to Chaucer and Milton to, the 19th century novel to the 20th century poetry. I mean, he was all over the place in the sense of he could read any kind of literature. It was all written in English, although the Bible was translated into English, truth be told. But still, he was really all over. And he also was He was also a trailblazer. He was the first person to ever write about Lord of the Rings as if it were serious literature, which he did in the 70s. And so he was able to do that inside of being a professor at one university in one department called an English department. But he was always able to find different things that he was interested in. And that kept him alive and kept him feeling like he was on purpose. So one of the things for you to look at in your own life is, do you have the ability to be learning new things and to be tuning into new topics, or to be doing different job descriptions if you're a person who is in, working for other people, or in your own business if you're able to change and grow and focus on different topics and different themes at different times, because that will help you to continue to explore and to evolve, rather than thinking I became an expert in this one thing and I have to do that for the rest of my life. For me, that would just be like nails in the coffin. I don't necessarily recommend it, and I don't necessarily think that that's great for generators. Now, having said that, and this might sound a little contradictory, but I hope not, is another kind of traditional thing that's said in human design about generators and manifesting generators is that we are designed to develop mastery through our work or practice or process or our craft, that we're here to be learning through a stair-step method, right? Where we grow, learn, and then we hit a plateau for a while. And then we have a breakthrough, and then we grow, learn, and then we hit another plateau, and then we go up again, right? It's kind of this stair-step way. Right. And that is, I think, pretty common to any way of learning a craft. It is true as generators, because we have that sacral energy, that we really do like to work, right? We like to work, or we like to engage with life. We like to be active. We don't do really well if we get bored. We don't do really well if we have to do the same thing over and over and over and over again, and we never get to learn anything new. I think that is just really hard for generators, even though we are designed to work. Like being on an assembly line and never getting to change what you do, I think would just be horrible for generators. Even though we could do it because we have that sacral energy and we can make ourselves do it, I don't think that that's definitely what our higher purpose is about. It is about growing and evolving and becoming masterful. Sometimes that's interpreted to mean that you need to stick with one thing through the plateaus. I know it's often said that generators can quit something too early when they're on a plateau because they start getting frustrated, right? You're frustrated. You're not really sure why you're on the plateau. You want to continue growing, and then you can just say, oh, okay, I'm out of here, I'm going to bail, and that you can quit something too early. I think that might be the case, but you have to develop your discernment, because sometimes it is time for you to leave that thing, especially if you're feeling like it's draining your energy, if you feel like you're just hitting your head against the wall and you're unhappy, you're not getting anything out of it, then yeah, maybe it is time to change. I know that's happened for me a number of times. And for me, that stair step has actually involved doing different things, so that I did one thing for a period of time, grew, learned, integrated for a while on a plateau, and then went, okay, got what I needed to out of that, and went on to the next thing. And when I look back over the course of my life, I go, oh, those things kind of added up over time. I couldn't necessarily see it looking forward, right? But now looking back, I can see the way that happened. So part of this is learning to discern what's true for you. And this is where the sacral authority comes in so much as your ally, because it'll help you determine. It's like, okay, am I just on a plateau, and do I need to hang in here through this frustration until I have a breakthrough into the next level? And your sacral could be like, and you're like, really? And it's like, okay, I'm going to hang in there. All right. And it's kind of like, or it's like, and you're like, oh, is it time to get out? Time to get out. Out of here. Right? And so this is where your sacral can be an ally for you to determine this. Now, here's the thing. As generators and manifesting generators, we are designed to create. Okay, we're the builders of the world. We're here, we're creating, whether we're creating, new information technology, or whether we're literally, carpenters, or we're knitters, or, we're building websites, or whatever it is. We're builders, we're creators. And creativity is not always easy. Right? If you have created anything, and if you're a generator, a manifesting generator, I'm sure that you have, there are ebbs and flows in our vision and our clarity and our ability to know what it is which is next, right? What's the next thing? I mean, anybody who's written a book or written songs or learned a particular style of dance, or learned to play an instrument, or learned to cook, or to sew, or to paint, or to build a website or a YouTube channel, right? You'll all know that there are periods when you kind of run into walls, and or it might not even be a wall. It just might be a tension, a creative tension, where you're not sure what's next, and you're kind of going, I don't know what's next. And you can interpret that as frustration, You can interpret it like there's something wrong. And in order to ease that tension, you might feel like you want to back away. And to a degree, that could be fine. But if you are somebody who, for example, learning to play an instrument, if you're learning to play an instrument, you need to practice every day. Or like me with my spiritual practice, I need to practice every day, whether I have some tension around it or not, or whether I have pure desire for it every single day or not. And so there is a commitment aspect to it. There is a devotional aspect to it, if you will. And we need to learn to discern the difference between that kind of creative tension that we might have versus when something really isn't right for us. Or maybe we're just done with it. We've learned what it was that we were there to learn, and it's time for us to move on. And as generators and manifesting generators, we do learn through repetition, doing something over and over and over again to get good at, and ultimately to master it. And in order to master anything, you have to stick with it long enough in order to get to that level of mastery. I know they say, mastery takes 10,000 hours, 10,000 practice hours in order to get there. I think sometimes there's an integration period. It might be more helpful to think of what is commonly called in human design a plateau, to think of it as an integration period rather than a plateau where, kind of nothing's happening and you're doing the same thing. One of my spiritual teachers, Oren, who is channeled by Sinead Roman, he talks about how the soul will have a period where it's really downloading a lot of new spiritual information for the personality. And so we're receiving a lot of insights, a lot of direction, a lot of motivation, a lot of, direction from the inside, this sense of purpose. And then the soul will recede for a while, and then we have a period of integration. And initially it might be a little bit of a relief, like, oh, okay, now I get to integrate for a little bit. I'm not quite so much on a fast track. But then there might be a period where you're like, oh, that energy's gone. Is something wrong? Is something off? But not necessarily. It could just be that it's time for that to really integrate into you. And my suggestion to you is when you hit a period like that, is to be writing for yourself about what your inner experience is, what it is that you might be integrating, and then also to be looking at how can you take what you've learned, how you've become different, how you've already changed, how you may feel more on purpose, and then to be able to express that more in your life. Because when you do that, it can kickstart you moving into the next phase of growth and evolution. I think that for generators, being on purpose will feel like we have a lot of energy to do things. And it's also the case that we need periods of rest, on a daily, weekly, monthly, seasonally, and annual, yearly cycle. We need cycles of rest, even though we do have this incredibly powerful sacral energy. And those periods of rest are times for us to integrate. And I believe that if we do that more, if we give ourselves those periods of rest before we're exhausted, then we will integrate more regularly, and then we can continue to feel more and more on purpose more and more of the time. I know for me, the places where I am practicing through repetition and also bringing in new information and integrating it, where I'm developing my sense of purpose and developing my mastery as a generator, is through my Kundalini yoga practice that I both do for myself and then also as I provide it to my clients. As a teacher, creating my YouTube videos, this has definitely been a process for me of developing my mastery in this. I'm far from masterful, but I'm getting better and better at it. Writing. I've been writing my entire life. I've been writing ever since I was a little kid, and I write every single day. And so writing is a big place for me that I continue to grow and develop. And I've definitely had plateau periods there, and times where I was integrating and times where I was a little uncertain if I was on purpose in my writing. But I also continued to write even through those times. Speaking for me, public speaking and teaching, which of course are related, these are also areas of mastery for me that I've been working with for decades. And so I know that when I'm doing these things, I do feel on purpose in my life. And the topics change, Okay, the topics change, or the themes change, the places, and also the populations that I talk to have changed. So for you, it may not be that those things are exactly the same all the way through. It's more about the kind of bigger ways that you engage with life and the ways that you express yourself. So my invitation for you as we conclude this exploration for today is for you to focus in on what can you do this week to give more time, more attention, more energy to something that you long to do, something that you love to do. Maybe it's something that you already do some, but not that much, that you would like to do more. What's one step you can take to move out of your analytical, strategic mind and cultivate your body wisdom? What's one thing you can do to just start to explore what would make you feel more on purpose? What gives you more energy? What is it that you feel called to from your heart and your belly? Not so much from your mind, but from your heart and your belly. Ask your inner being to help guide you. And then ask your sacral, is this right for me to do now? And be looking for that and that leaning in sense that comes from your body. And then go ahead and do it. If you'd like some more support on your human design journey, I encourage you to go and get my ebook, Transform Your Life with Human Design, and its companion volume, The Deep Dive Journal. Together, these will guide you through the fundamental aspects of human design, including your type, including your strategy, including your authority, whatever those are. Talk about circuitry, openness, and definition. And what they'll do is help you to open up this incredible treasure trove that human design can give to you. And the Deep Dive Journal will help you to take what you learn and really integrate it into your life and then apply it so that you can be living more and more in alignment with your design. Here's the link to go and check that out, and also down in the description below so that you can go get that. All right, that's my video for today. Many blessings, much love. Bye for now.